Margaret Townsley.
Here.
Patrick Carney. We do have a quorum.
All right, thank you. We have had the minutes of our last meeting provided to us. If anyone doesn't have any changes, if they would like to make a motion.
I move that the minutes be accepted.
Okay, we have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. All right. So when you're ready, Dawn, we're going to let you call the first item on the agenda.
In accordance with sections 155.085 and 155.105 of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances, Larry and Shauna Hill, care of Brian Hicks, are requesting approval of a conditional use permit to allow the operation of a reception assembly hall at 879 South Benson Road. The property is more specifically described as PVA map number 026000014.05.
Good evening, Board. So this is a request for a conditional use permit for a reception/assembly hall. You all have seen a handful of these requests come before this board in the past few years. To my knowledge, none of those have had any reported issues to staff. Subject property is located in southwestern Franklin County on a private drive between South Benson Road and Green Wilson. Under 155.105A, staff did list negative finding there. However, based upon further discussion with the applicant, one of the primary concerns that staff had was sending the proposed number of patrons at this reception venue down a private road that might have an impact on the adjacent neighbors, thinking at that time that the access would be from South Benson. After discussing with the applicant, we discovered that they do own land further south along the same private farm road, and that the primary intended access point would actually be Green Wilson, which would actually not go by nearly as many residences. Staff also would recommend that they build a new driveway to serve the use to avoid the part of the access easement that overlaps with any neighbors. That way, it should reduce that potential for conflict and congestion and traffic and the like. So the last sentence there on that 155.105A, staff does feel that with all of the conditions that we're recommending, that should help reduce some of that issue that we were seeing there. Also wanted to note, there is a typo on page, I think it's page 3, on that same section, where it says the distance to South Benson Road is 7,725 feet. It should be 4,050 feet, which is approximately 0.78 miles. So this barn that they're proposing to use this use is somewhat in the middle between South Benson and Green Wilson Road, but a little bit closer to Green Wilson. Throughout the next sections, we have positive findings until you get to 105D. Similar concern with going down the private road. But again, we think that we can get to that point with all the conditions if they are satisfied. Also, staff does see that the area is in a large open field. There's a potential for sound to travel. So if the board deems necessary, staff would not be opposed if screening or buffering would be imposed. With that, we do have other positive findings. Additional findings staff has, in addition to the findings above, staff finds that the conditional use will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, nor cause a hazard or nuisance to the public, provided that the conditions recommended are fulfilled. The necessary services to serve the facility are available, and that the proposed conditional use should not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, provided that the conditions, again, are fulfilled. And with that, we are recommending approval with a pretty good length of conditions. There's 18 of them. I'll read them into the record, and one of them, based upon discussion with the applicant, we're going to recommend a modification to it. That's number 14. We'll get to that in a moment. Condition number 1, the conditional use is only permitted at 879 South Benson Road. 2, the conditional use is granted only to Larry and Shauna Hill to allow the use of the property for a reception/assembly hall. 3, the conditional use is not transferable. Any change in use will make the approval null and void. 4, should the applicants no longer own the property along the access easement between subject property and Green Wilson Road, PVA number 026-00-00-014.10 and 026.000014.08. The conditional use shall become null and void unless an access easement agreement is provided to the planning department. 5, a development plan shall be required to be approved prior to the issuance of building permits and the commencement of the use. Let's see, 6, again, the development plan shall indicate the number and location of parking spaces, as well as a dedicated turnaround for fire apparatus and improvements along that easement. 7, the private drive shall be constructed to support the weight of Franklin County fire apparatus up to 56,000 pounds. 8, handicap parking spaces shall be provided in accordance with the Kentucky Building Code. 9, all Franklin County Health Department requirements are satisfied prior to the use commencing. 10, a Franklin County business license must be obtained prior to the use commencing. 11, the barn venue must meet the Kentucky building official, or sorry, the Franklin County building officials' requirements. 12, the use shall be limited to 300 guests, not including staff personnel. 13, hours of operation shall be limited to 12 p.m. noon through 11 p.m. And 14, based upon discussion with the applicant, they felt that was a little bit limiting, but they might want to have more than one per month. So we've landed at allowing up to 14 through the whole calendar year, not limiting it on a monthly basis. Because there might be some wintertime months that might not see an event, but there might be a springtime where there might be 2 in a month. So staff was comfortable to going up to 14 on that one. Number 15, no permanent structures including pavement or fill shall be installed in the flood zone without obtaining flood permits. 16, no outdoor music, live or otherwise, shall be permitted after 9 p.m. 17, no fireworks shall be permitted. And 18, the applicant shall contract with a private waste removal company to remove any trash generated with any of the associated events. And with that, I'd like to enter my report into the record, and I'll be happy to take questions.
Were you adding in the conditions the new access point off of Green Wilson?
Yes, I just think that would probably be a wise one. It's up to you all. I didn't put that in there, but we're not opposed to it.
Okay. I have a question for you. How are we going to enforce this? Somebody going to be out there counting people? And how many, I mean, I'm not trying to be, you know,
It's similar to like the fire marshal, this room, we limit the number of people in there unless that official's not present. It's kind of hard to enforce, but, there are neighbors that are aware of this request and some of them are present in this room.
Okay.
And if they would to report to us something to that effect, we could check it out.
okay. So if there's more, if this is approved and there's more than 14 a year going on, neighbors can report to you all and you can investigate. And if you find that that's the case, what are the options to prevent that from reoccurring? What's the
So-
enforcement mechanism?
Part of it relies on you all. So if we, as staff, get some reports of issues or that any of these conditions listed are in violation, staff will investigate, and if we do discover an issue, we can bring it back before you all, and you all have the authority to revoke the permit.
All right, good deal. Do we have any other questions?
I have a couple of questions. I realize it's a pretty good-sized area, but is the space that would be appropriate for parking for 300 guests, where's that going to be? And is that an area of this property that will work out for parking? Is it going to be a suitable area for parking?
Yes, so that's a good question, and that's one reason why staff is recommending the approval of a development plan. So they'll hire a professional to basically lay out a design of the site, how it will function, and that'll go through a technical review process with the fire department, water, electric utilities, health department, and our office, and we'll enforce that plan to be built to however it's approved.
My second question is regarding some sort of buffer or screen that you spoke of earlier. Where would that be, and would we want to require that?
Yeah, so again, that's something that we would establish on that development plan, and staff would recommend that it would go in a place that would provide the, basically the most bang for buck. Where are the neighbors? Do we want to put a row of evergreen trees between this use and the nearest house? Those type of details can be sorted out on a development plan.
Could we make it a condition that we have that in the development plan?
Absolutely, if this board chooses to do so, if you all feel screening is necessary to reduce some of the sound traveling or even the visual aspects of it, staff is fully on board with requiring buffering. And that's something that would also be then required to be put on that development plan.
Anyone else? All right, we'll let you sit. We'll let the applicant's representative come up and talk about their request. Mr. Hicks, if you give us your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Board. Brian Hicks, McNamara and Jones, 315 High Street here in Frankfort. On behalf of Larry and Shauna Hill, Larry more commonly known as Chad Hill of Hills Electric. We agree totally with staff report except all conditions proposed. I will tell you that even though it has an South Benson address, this property is mostly accessed from the Green Wilson side. They own the property from the event venue all the way to South Benson, along which that road travels. They will be constructing a private drive off of that road that runs through their property to the event venue, such that they don't have to have guests or patrons travel along the shared access. We will be putting in a buffer as recommended by the development plan as approved. And we have already been discussing the appropriate parking area for that. And I believe their staff report on parking does specify some of that language in there. And I would just point out that we have a considerable amount of public support here tonight. If you're here in support of this, please raise your hand. That's all I have. I'm open to questions.
I just have a question about buffering. We talked about sound and the sound ending, outside music ending at 9 o'clock. What kind of buffer does mitigate noise?
That's a great question. I'm a lawyer. We'll work with staff to figure that out.
Okay. I'll ask them later.
Yeah.
As far as waste facilities, are you all gonna have a septic system installed, or are you just gonna have like porta potties and, or I've seen these trucks come in with multiple bathroom facilities for a large gathering like this?
The event venue already has restroom facilities within it. They initially constructed what was a pole barn to act as a man cave for Chad, which was his permanent RV, because he can't go RVing anymore, so that was the initial intent. Since then, they've decided, or had several events out there for friends and family, and now seeking approval officially to go ahead and do it more often.
Any other questions for our applicant?
Mr. Hicks, I have a question. You're gonna be someone on site that's gonna enforce the noise, enforce the traffic, enforce those things on each event?
Yes, sir.
Okay, who will that be?
Shauna Hill.
All right, I don't think we have any more questions for you right now. We'll let you sit down. If someone would like to come up and speak, do you want to just read off?
You want to call the fours first and then
Let's
do
do
the
the fours
against?
first, and then we can do any against, yeah. And once again, we're gonna have a 3-minute time limit. You don't have to go the whole time. If you just change your mind, you don't want to speak, you don't have to.
Okay, Peter I'm gonna murder that. Richmanji, you can come up, please.
This is a different case.
Oh, you're here for a different case, then we'll come back to you. Steve Norman?
Yes, my name is Steve Norman. I live at 118 Farmers Lane. I do work for Chad, and this is beside, but the reason I would like for this to be out there is everybody knows the condition of Green Wilson. Like I said, I live on Farmers Lane. With him having a wedding venue out there, it's more money for the county to upgrade and widen that road you know, because that money's gonna turn into taxes for Franklin County. And that's the reason I'm for it, not just because I work for him. It's, I live out there. And, you know, we all know the conditions of South Benson. We all know the conditions of Green Wilson. You know, Farmers Lane, you know, it's gonna bring more money to the community. Sykes Market's gonna benefit from this. Anybody that moves out there is gonna benefit from this coming in out there, so. Thank you, guys.
Any questions? All right, thank you.
Shauna Hill.
So I am Shauna Hill, 1108 Devane Lane. I am the property owner. Brian Hicks has pretty much said everything that I probably need to say, but I will say that we will comply with everything that needs to be complied with as far as what you all recommend or what's been recommended by the Planning and Zoning. We have already been in contact with the Health Department, Planning and Zoning, trying to iron out the details on what we need to do. And we will monitor the situation as far as the guests that are permitted out there, and I do hope you consider it to approve the situation. We've had my son's wedding out there, and it is a fantastic place, and we've had several friends and family from that wedding that have requested to have their own weddings out there in the future, so I just hope that you do approve it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christine Goss.
Hi, Christine Goss, 513 Aztec Lane. I got married. I was the first person to get married out there. That's my best friend, their daughter, Emily Hill. And out of the niceness of their heart, they let me get married there for free last October. I had the most amazing day. All my guests did access it from the Green Wilson. We had no issues. No one came in from South Benson, so no traffic issues there. We had a great day. We did have a few things, but they weren't on our end. There was no issues from us. The hills were great. We didn't have any bathroom issues. We did bring in porta potties by choice because we did have a large number of guests, but we had no issues otherwise.
Thank you.
Greg McGahee.
I'm gonna skip, that was my daughter, so she kinda said everything else.
Okay. Marcibel Simp.
That's another issue.
Okay. Andrea McAfee.
My name is Andrea Mahaffey. I live at 875 South Benson, which is right next door. It's where the property line next to the property being discussed. And these people are some of the nicest people you will ever meet. And so I trust that they will handle everything appropriately. The only thing I would ask would be to maybe formalize the condition that they come in from the Green Wilson side. It is a very isolated property out there, and when they're having just friends and family out, no concerns. But to have 300 just random people coming through that side, they can see how isolated we are and how isolated our livestock is, and I just want to protect our property and make sure that like a large number of people don't see how easy it would be to access our property. Everybody, don't tell anybody. And then in keeping with that, maybe, I don't know if it would be possible to, at the exit time, to set up maybe a couple of sawhorses that would be, you know, temporary and movable, but just to block access to the South Benson side when it's time to exit so that nobody comes out that way. I don't know if that's reasonable, but, and then the only other thing is, we're fine if the music goes till 10. I mean, if you're having a wedding, 9 seems kind of early, but I'm in support. I think that they're nice people and they will handle it appropriately.
Thank you.
Donald Norman.
I don't know what, I'm Donald Norman, 92 Vicky Way. I don't know what can be said that hadn't already been said. I know the drawings you have in front of you really don't speak justice to the beautification, how beautiful this property is. Be a great place for a venue. But that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're moving on to the against, Matt and Joy Lee.
Good evening. I'm Matt Lee, and this is my wife, Joy Lee. We are actually the property owners at 877 South Benson Road. We are the ones that are heavily affected by this need because we've had problems with them in the past. They actually had 4, what I would consider illegal venues there. We even talked to the zoning planning board, and he knew about it, and of course, they made excuses on that it was family, friends, so be it. But nonetheless, we've had property damage. We've had threats that were made to us because they didn't like the fact that we had a equine venue the same time that they had their venue. They've had well over 400 people at this venue.
And we brought pictures of the damage to our property that was done.
So we have,
If you can testify, please do it separately, so the court reporter can get it.
yeah, sure. So we do have pictures where they busted our mailbox, they busted some fencing, meaning that their guests have done that. We have threats. We've been threatened. We were threatened by Harrison Hill during Shauna Hill's son's wedding, basically telling my wife, well, I can't even say what he's gonna tell my wife because it's not appropriate to say, but he said that to my wife and son. So these are the people that I understand everybody's saying are good people. Well, maybe they are, but, you know, they obviously don't want to work with their neighbors. They don't want to control their own family in order to have these venues. And again, when I'm threatened that my barn is gonna be burnt down, because they didn't like the fact that we had another venue, I think that's going a little extreme. Now, I am glad to hear that there are a bunch of contingencies with this, and I do hope that those stand. Again, where our driveway is right in contention with where they would drive to their main driveway. So as long as they have a driveway coming off before it even comes to our driveway, I don't think my wife and I have much of a problem with it. I do think there needs to be sound buffers. I do like to see a 10 o'clock end time, not 11, because the sound where it does, it radiates through the hollow right there, and it does come to the house. We just built the house in 2024, moved in. The house is well-equipped with insulation, but you can still hear them partying. I would like to make sure that there's no underage drinking, which has been there before. We've seen that. And I would like to, again, just make sure that they abide by all the rules, which they haven't done. I mean, as a matter of fact, right now, they don't even let garbage trucks come down Green Wilson Road in order to service my barn, my house, but yet they're gonna let these trucks, all, 400, 300 cars come down this driveway in order to go to the venue. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but I don't have much of a problem with this as long as those things are met. Again, I would like to have a 10 o'clock end time. Definitely want to make sure that there's a sound buffer so that it doesn't affect my residents. And I also would love to see that there would be a different road because, as Ms. Mahaffey said, the road cannot handle any additional traffic.
I'm
It's all-
sure you're past your 3 minutes. I'm
I am.
sorry, I didn't hit the
No problem.
timer, but I'm
Yeah, I've said
positive.
what I need to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joy, would you like to come up?
I completely oppose the wedding venue, just for the fact the road is too small. Where our property is, I don't see how it's possible for you to block the noise. And every time there's a wedding, we have damage to our fencing. It's a very narrow road, and without you visually seeing it, our property butts up too close. Our property is in the line is in the middle of the road. It's next to impossible to keep the noise away from our homes. So I just don't see how it's gonna be manageable. And the weddings they've had have been well over 400, so again, how are you gonna manage how many people are there? We have called in the past. We called planning and zoning multiple times. We called the police department because music was 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Nobody was there to monitor these weddings. So I completely oppose this. I don't think it's gonna work. It's just not gonna work.
Thank you.
Dylan Wilson?
Hi, I'm Dylan Wilson. I'm over at 873 South Benson Road. They've pretty much touched on everything that pretty much needs to be said. But I work in law enforcement in Louisville. I work 16-hour shifts. And I sort of have concerns with how they're actually going to facilitate and manage this when they say only one person, Shauna Hill, is going to facilitate all this traffic, facilitate all the security and everything that needs to be put in place. Coming from law enforcement, that's a huge ordeal for a 400-person
party to say, oh, only one person is gonna control that, everyone makes it to Green Wilson, everyone's gonna follow the rules, there's not gonna be no underage drinking, no illegal activities, no crime, no nothing. How can one person facilitate that? So that's sort of where my concern is, and especially with other neighbors who are concerned with how isolated we are, how are we supposed to manage that? And then let alone, I can't even make it up our own hill on South Benson Road during winter time because they have the road completely blocked off without a code. So just recently, the past winter, I had to sit at the bottom of the hill. I actually went to the gas station, slept for 4 hours, went back to work for a 16-hour shift because they're not willing to work with us on anything. So that's pretty much all I have to say on that. I'm definitely against that venue because they're not going to facilitate or manage it correctly at all. They will not, they have not in the past illegal standings that they have done on. So that's all I have to say about that.
All right, thank you.
Brianna Wilson?
He said it.
Perfect. And then Southard? And I'll need your full name, please, because you didn't. put it on-
Melissa.
Melissa? Thank you.
So I prepared a statement so I could stay within the time frame. So first, I'd like to say that I am representing the 40-acre farm that has 3 residences on it. So it's 366 Valley Road, 367 Valley Road, and 371 Valley Road. And certainly, we all want to support rural economic development, and we always support businesses starting in the area. However, when you're a direct neighbor, and some of the things that have already been said, there are direct issues. Green Wilson Road is absolutely not designed for high volume or event level traffic. I get that there's been a few there before, but consistent traffic patterns like that is probably going to be potentially unsafe. It's a very narrow road, used daily by families, school buses, and farms. There's large farm equipment that goes back and forth quite often, especially through the spring and the summer. We have a hay farm, so certainly we understand that. I can say that when Route 151 and 127 is closed off, Green Wilson Road is then, all the traffic is redirected on Green Wilson Road. And because of that, we live on Valley Road. Many times, we are a dead end. So many times, people are trying to they come down our road, Valley Road, to get to wherever they're going. So we head them off, or as a matter of fact, quite frankly, just the other day, 151 was closed. My neighbors almost got hit, and my husband almost got hit himself. Again, trying to redirect the traffic off of Green Wilson Road. The surrounding properties are horse, cattle, hay, and bee farms. They, of course, need quiet conditions, and of course, we need safe access. So having a commercial event venue doesn't seem to be very compatible for agricultural settings. We are very well aware that there have been late-night events already, because we have heard the activity continue until 11 and later. The barn that's over there, we see the traffic that's going back and forth, the barn lights, those lights all shine onto our property, into our homes. My neighbors are directly next to the property with the barn. So we're very, very concerned. We think you should heavily consider all of the things that I think those of us that live in that area, actually, we have those issues. I get that you're supporting a small business and others support the small business, but being in the area, directly living adjacent to the farm, we request that we respectfully request that you really consider this or deny it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I had.
Okay. At this time, we usually have some discussion between the board members. If we have any additional questions for staff, I think we can do that. So we've got some positive findings. We've got some good testimony about there's been some issues in the past. For discussion's sake, my big concern is how are we going to ensure that, the noise levels are taken care of, the traffic, et cetera. one of the people in opposition made a good point about one person being in charge of the entire event that's going on. I don't know that, I mean, if you've ever been involved with big events, there's a lot of things that are happening at once, and if there's a problem in multiple areas, it's kind of hard for one person to control everything. I don't know if we can somehow require, I don't know that we can require anything beyond after the fact if there's an issue. Let me ask Mr. Logan real quick. Mr. Logan, I'm concerned about when things don't go right for the neighbors and for the people having the event, because that can happen. Is there a way that we can, in a sense, require that the part of the event structure is that they're going to have, you know, a couple of 2 or 3 like off-duty policemen to help control if somebody gets out of sorts?
No, sir, I don't think we can require that. They can volunteer that, and we can make that a condition if they do, but, I think that for law enforcement purposes, that's law enforcement. That's not, the Board of Zoning Adjustment. We're getting outside our lane if we try to do that.
That's why I'm asking. But you're saying we can make that a condition?
We can make a condition that it be supervised and that there be on-site employees. We can't tell them the number.
Gotcha.
And we can't tell them the hours that they're doing it, I guess, while they're gonna be open. But I think we're getting into management, and we really don't have that authority.
That's what I wanted to make sure of, okay.
But you do think we could require them to have it supervised?
Yes, yes.
And
I think we can say that it'd be,
adequately
It'd
supervised?
be adequately supervised to the extent that all the conditions that we're placing on them be followed. So that someone's gonna be responsible if they're not. We can't just say, well, I was busy and I didn't see that. I think we need to make them accountable if something's gonna go wrong.
And this may be a staff question. I'm a little confused about the access, because South Vincent and the other roads, they are narrow and small and curvy. Once again, are we saying that they're gonna construct the driveway off of, the main entry to this is a new driveway off of Green Wilson? Or, we'll let Ben come up.
No, it wouldn't come off of Green Wilson. It would be off of the private farm drive, just further south than where they currently access. The current access point to where the barn is located, you would have to pass some of the neighboring lots, including some that we've heard from. So if they brought an access point further south, the only people it would affect would be their other
But
property.
that would still be off of South Benson.
The access point to the farm drive would be off of South Benson, correct?
Okay.
But then it would come off of, onto the existing private farm drive, and then it'd be a new drive off of that.
So there was talk about Green Wilson. Why would people be using Green Wilson? Is it just an alternate?
Sorry, did I say South Benson? I meant Green Wilson, pardon my words there. Yes, Green Wilson would be the primary access point from the private farm drive, and then a new branch would come off of that. So we're talking on the southern portion of the entire farm drive between South Benson and Green Wilson. This would be closer to Green Wilson, further south.
So in and out, basically Green Wilson.
Correct.
Okay.
May I ask a question?
You certainly
How's that gonna be routed for the guests that would be coming? I mean, is there gonna be signage? Is that the only way they can get in?
So
Is
currently
the way you're
there-
describing off of Green Wilson, is there another route that they could take because they're familiar with the area and, hey, I know how to get there by this other way? And I just want to make sure if that's what the access is going to be, then that it is going to be that and nothing else.
So since it is presently a private drive, the Hills have actually erected a gate across it that would prevent people from going too far north. So if this proposed drive were to be south of that gate, that gate itself would prevent people from venturing on past and to the neighboring properties.
I disagree that we can only say that's the only way they get in. We can ask them to say that's our entrance, notify people that that's the entrance to be used. But if we're letting public citizens drive on a public road, we can't tell them they can't go a certain way just because they.
It's a private road.
Private.
It's
They
private.
close that.
Yeah, it's a private road, and to your point, Ed, that we might not want to super restrict it to just one access. The fire department might want to use the other existing entrance for emergency purposes. Staff has no issue with, first responders using any access point.
I would think too, if we're gonna have a development plan, these types of potential problems will be addressed during that.
We would certainly want this proposed drive to be shown on any development plan, correct?
Well, staff would want to put buffering requirements and other things on it, which we've discussed tonight, but that would be at the development plan.
Right, right.
We have a few conditions drafted that you all could add, just based on the conversations we've heard tonight, if you would like to hear those.
Right, that'd be great.
Choose whether
Thank
or not to add those to the list.
Yep, so these are based upon the discussion we've had tonight. So staff will offer up some additional conditions that you can add if you choose to do so. These have all been loosely touched on tonight. So the first one we have is a 30-foot landscape buffer along the access easement shall be provided where the easement abuts land under a different ownership and along the eastern property line adjacent to the barn and the area, what is it? Parking area. Such buffers shall contain a row of evergreen trees planted at a 25-foot on, space 25 foot on center. Staff likes evergreen trees as buffers. I know that question was brought up earlier, what type of tree or whatever works best for buffering sound. Evergreens don't lose their leaves. If they're spaced properly, they can, it's not gonna stop 100% of the sound, but it'll definitely buffer or reduce how sound travels. No, that's one. So the second one we have is a dedicated drive shall be established from the access easement to the barn so that the shared portion of the access easement is not utilized for the venue, and a gate shall be installed. So I think that installing a secondary gate might help with what you were talking about a minute, Iris. Number three, parking, lighting, and exterior lighting on the barn shall be shielded fixtures directed towards the interior of the property. Somebody mentioned just a moment ago about light coming through, so that should hopefully address that concern. And then number four, to add to the list of conditions, all events shall be adequately supervised by staff to ensure that all conditions are met. So those are for you all to decide if you want to impose that or not.
And Mr. Judah, you had mentioned about the, like up to 14 for a calendar year on that item number 14, so that was a revision there.
Yes, so that after the staff report went out, we had some discussions with the applicant about maybe what we had initially proposed didn't quite work with what they might want to do, and especially considering that if they, the winter months might be calendar free for them. They might not have any events in the wintertime, but they might have 2 or 3 in the springtime on a single month. So this will give them a little bit more flexibility without really increasing the total number by a substantial amount.
If you don't mind, we'll have those notes, if we put that into the motion. If you don't mind. Any other questions or discussion? Go ahead.
Talk about 14 events a year, so that they can be flexible, but should we limit the number per month? So that they can't do 4 weeks in a row? No? It's just a thought.
That's a good point. I think that's a good point. Your weddings are usually in the summer.
Yeah, June, graduation. They could do 8, there could be 8 weeks in a row, and that wouldn't be fair to the neighbors, it seems. So.
Right. I guess we can add that condition if everybody votes in favor of that. I think we want to have flexibility if we approve this, but we also want to, like you said, protect neighbors so that's not overloaded on party after party.
Right. We don't have 14 straight weeks in the summer.
Right.
Is that would that be a reasonable condition?
If I live next door to it, yes. If I own the building, no.
Right. Why don't we do this? Let's have the applicant come up, and we're in discussion still. If you don't mind, Mr. Hicks, come up and you kind of see where we're coming from. If we have you know, wedding season and there's an event every weekend, it may kind of wear on the neighbors or whatever.
We'll limit it to 2 a month.
Okay, that seems
What
reasonable.
was that?
We'll limit it to 2 a month, if y'all want to make that a condition.
That seems reasonable. Is that,
I think that's right.
2 a month, not
2 a
to
month,
exceed
up.
14? Is that
Not to
what-
Correct.
exceed 14.
What if there's 5 weeks in a month? 5 weekends?
2 a month.
2 in the calendar month, doesn't matter the weekends, yeah. That seems reasonable.
Not to exceed 14. Is that-
Right.
Right,
not to
still
exceed
limited to
14.
14 per year.
It could be back-to-back weeks, but that's what you're,
Just 2 per
but just 2 for the
per
month.
calendar month.
Yeah.
And if we hit 14, we'll be pretty impressed.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And those other conditions proposed by Ben that you all read into the record, we're fine with those as well.
Right, okay.
And when I said Shauna Hill would be in charge, I meant the buck stops with her. She's
Right.
not gonna be the only one out there with a clipboard and
I understand.
a counter trying to figure out how many people are out there and, you know, blaring the alarm when it's 11 o'clock. She has support staff.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns or discussion?
So there is, there can be outdoor music
Mhm.
up till 9
No,
o'clock.
yeah. I think that's all we have for right now.
Good deal.
Okay, thank you. All right, we've had some good discussion back and forth and not had any outbursts, which is nice. Would someone like to make a motion for or against with all?
Is there a new condition that requires security there?
Requires what?
Security.
In a sense, yes. Well,
Part of
supervision, yes.
our, so it is written in our condition.
We've added it.
Okay.
So if you want to make a motion, we can give you the,
Yeah.
you can read it.
Can he defer,
He's gonna make me do it.
We're going to make you
can
do
you
it.
defer to the clerk to read the conditions that they've added? Oh, you've got them, okay.
We've got those, so we can get it in the record.
Good luck.
But we'll give you help.
Okay,
Yeah.
We're behind you all the way.
okay.
I think Mr. Keene is going to make a motion.
All right. Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
in accordance with sections 155085 and 155105 of the Franklin County Code of Ordinance, I recommend approval of this request for conditional use permit for Larry and Shauna Hill, care of Brian Hicks, to have a conditional use permit to allow the operation of a reception/assembly hall at 879 South Benson Road. The property is more specifically described as Property Valuation Administrator Map Number 026-000-014.05. And I would like to add that this is being recommended because of the positive findings of the staff and to include the conditions that have also been developed by the staff and those that are part of this board tonight. Those conditions, most of them have already been read to the record, but I think I should read the newer ones that come in addition to the record. And they are a buffer, a 30-foot landscape buffer along the access easement shall be provided where the easement abuts land under different ownership and along the eastern property line adjacent to the barn and parking area. Thank you. Such buffers shall contain a row of evergreen trees planted at 25 feet on center. Next, recommendation is a dedicated drive shall be established from the access easement to the barn so that the shared portion of the access easement is not utilized for the venue, and a gate shall be installed. Third, parking, lighting, and exterior lighting on the barn shall be shielded fixtures and directed toward the interior of the property. Finally, all events shall be adequately supervised by staff to ensure that all the conditions we've shared are met.
And Mr.
Could you-
Keaton,
I would also recommend that we add with this, that there be no more than 2 events, wedding events per month. I think that's what the.
With the total of 14.
not to exceed 14.
Not
Yeah,
to
2
exceed
months, we're not gonna exceed 14.
Okay. Final recommendation that there be no more than 14 events per year and not to exceed 2 per month. Okay.
All right, we have a motion with conditions. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. Would you please call the roll, Dawn?
Ms. Skidmore?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Holder?
Yes.
Mr. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Ms. Townsley? Motion carries.
All right, you have your approval with conditions. Good luck to everyone, and hope everything works out for you. If we're gonna have, you all are welcome to come or go, but we'll wait until you all are out of the room, so we'll continue our meeting. If you're gonna talk, that's great. If you would go out in the hall for us, and that way we still can continue with our meeting.
That would work.
So John can shut down the record.
If you all could make your way out into the hallway, we're still doing our meeting right now.
Ed suggested we take a 5-minute recess.
Okay, yes. We're gonna take a 5-minute recess. That way you'll have time to clear, and we'll be back in 5 minutes officially. Thank you, Don.
Yes, it's gonna be a long one, because there's one in here.
Oh, yeah, I know, you got that. I know, but
She's the boss.
I keep saying it.
I told my wife it could have been
And
3
then they come
hours.
up with them on the fly. That's impressive.
It is impressive.
I think that was a good
But that's their job. That's what they do.
Nobody gets.
Yeah, oh, yeah, it was.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, that's fine. I see you rush me to do it, but it's okay.
We're going to call the meeting back to order. Thank you all for your patience. If you'll recall, we switched the agenda just a little bit. We're going to hear number 5 next. So if you'll call that item on the agenda, please.
In accordance with sections 155.048, 155.085, 155.089, and 155.105 of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances, Brian Hicks, on behalf of the Hills Properties LLC, is requesting approval of a conditional use permit to allow the operation of a short-term rental at 1015 Devane Lane. The property is more specifically described as PVA map number 051-30-05-004.00, and it's an RB zone district.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. The subject property is located on Devane Lane, a county-maintained road, County Route 1103J, which is off Old Lawrenceburg Road and/or US 127. The lot is approximately 0.27 acres in size and contains a 2,654 square foot single-family dwelling with 3 bedrooms. The home is located in Bentwoods subdivision. Adjoining zoning is single-family residential suburban density, RB district, and single-family residences. According to GIS data and FEMA MSC, the subject property is not located within the special flood hazard area. While a 3-bedroom dwelling would be allowed to have up to 10 guests in a short-term rental, the applicant has indicated that they plan to rent the unit no more than 8 guests at a time. So the subject property is large enough to accommodate 4 vehicles in total. The applicant has agreed to only 4 vehicles at one time. On the premise, there are no other short-term rentals within the neighborhood or the general vicinity. Staff does recommend that no on-street parking be permitted for the proposed short-term rental, especially since this neighborhood has had previous complaints about on-street parking issues, reducing visibility, and halting trash pickup and school buses. So staff does have all positive findings with 3 additional findings. One, in addition to the findings, staff also finds that the proposed conditional use will not alter the essential character or of the general vicinity, nor cause a hazard or nuisance to the public if the conditions are met. The proposed 3-bedroom dwelling will be large enough to accommodate the requested number of users of 8, and adequate parking will be available for 4 vehicles in total. This includes the 2-car garage at 483 square feet and a 700 square feet park pad that can accommodate 2 vehicles. All necessary public services and facilities are or will be available. And number 3, the proposed conditional use should not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, provided that the recommended conditions are met. Staff is recommending approval of this short-term rental at the property located at 1015 Devane Lane. And I'd like to submit, with conditions, and I'd like to submit my report into the record and open for any questions.
Any questions, Mr.?
I have a question. Is there no condition that, oh, never mind, I see it, there's,
Okay.
got it. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Any other questions? I don't think we do. We'll let you sit down. We'll have the applicant come up if they have anything to add.
Me again. Brian Hicks, McNamara and Jones, on behalf of the applicant, Hills Properties, also owned by Chad and Shauna Hill. Great report, Tina. We agree totally, accept all conditions, and open for questions.
Any questions for Mr. Hicks? Don't see any. We'll let you sit down. If we have anyone in the audience who would like to speak on behalf of this item, we'll let you come up at this time. We don't see anyone. Okay, we'll let you all relax there a second. we'll go into discussion or have a motion. I would just say that we have all positive findings. We don't have anyone in opposition. We've had this type of request before us many times. If someone would like to make a motion for or against. I think you're getting a lot.
I'd be glad to, except I'm missing this back page unless.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Sure. I move for approval of, in accordance with sections 155-048, 155-085, and 155-089, and 155-105 of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances, to approve the conditional use permit for Hills Properties LLC to allow operation of short-term rental at 1015 Devane Lane, property more specifically described as PVA map ID 05130050004.00 in Zone RB. And with all positive findings of the staff report, with the following conditions that have been agreed upon by the applicant. And that's, number one, conditional use is only permitted at 1015 Devane Lane. Number two, conditional use is granted only to Hills Properties LLC to allow the use of the property for a short-term rental. Number three, the conditional use is not transferable, and any change in ownership will make this approval null and void. Number four, the short-term rental is registered with the county annually and a business license obtained. Number five, a safety inspection of the premise shall be performed before the issuance of the conditional use permit and commencing of operation. Number six, there shall be no on-street parking permitted. Number seven, the residents must have working smoke alarms that are not more than 10 years old from date of manufacture. Number eight, the residents must have working carbon monoxide alarms that are not more than 10 years old from date of manufacture if the residence has gas utilities of any kind. Number nine, the occupancy of the short-term rental shall be limited to no more than 8 guests and no more than 4 vehicles at one time on the premises. Number 10, if operation ceased, then notice shall be provided to County Planning and Building Codes Office for their records. Number 11, all conditions of 155-089. Noted special conditions 27, short-term rentals shall be satisfied. And finally, number 12, if the conditional use permit has not been exercised within 1 year of the board's action, it shall be null and void.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. You would call a roll, Dawn, when you're ready.
Ms. Skidmore?
Did you call me?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Holder?
Yes.
Mr. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Ms. Townsley?
Yes.
Motion carries.
You have your approval. Let you read the next on the agenda when you're ready.
In accordance with sections 155.232 and 155.085 of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances, Peter Richmongu requests an appeal to change one non-conforming use ice manufacturer and distributor to another horse supplement packaging and distribution at 814 Clifton Drive. The property is more specifically described as PVA map number 048-2005.001, and this is a single-family rural residential B district.
Good afternoon. The subject property is located in a rural hamlet of Choteville, which is northwest of the intersection of Devil's Hollow Road and Pea Ridge Road. This lot is just over 9,000 square feet and contains an 1,800 square foot metal-sided structure with a garage bay. This structure was initially constructed to house an ice manufacturing facility for the purpose of manufacturing, storing, bagging, and delivering ice. So the applicant is now requesting, again, it is located in a single-family residential district, so the commercial use is not typically permitted. They're requesting to change the non-conforming use to a horse supplement business where they will package and distribute horse supplements. They will not be doing any manufacturing there at this time. So staff does have positive findings regarding the change in nonconforming use throughout our report, and we also have 3 additional findings. One, that the proposed use of the property for packaging and distribution of horse supplements will be a similar but less intense use than the previous use as an ice manufacturing and distribution facility. The proposed use will likely result in decreased traffic and noise on the subject property. Number 2, the proposed use is unlikely to have a negative impact on the surrounding area, as the use will be a slightly less intense wholesale activity as compared to the earlier manufacturing use. And number 3, that adequate paving exists on the property to accommodate the 2 required parking spaces. Should the board decide to approve the request, in accordance with our recommendation, we also recommend the following conditions. 1, that the horse supplement packaging and distribution facility shall operate no more than 3 days per week. Number 2, that the use shall be limited to 1 employee on the premises. Number 3, that a business license shall be obtained through the county's occupational tax office. And number 4, that any waste products related to the horse supplements be picked up and disposed of off-site through a solid waste service, and they shall not be discharged into drains leading to the sanitary sewer system. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
I have a question. What is this supplement that they're packaging?
It is a supplement for horses. I'm sure the applicant can probably provide more details on that than I can.
Supplement for horses, but is it?
Do you want me to step aside and have the applicant come up
No,
now, or
we'll ask
I
the
don't have that, I
applicant.
don't have an answer for that. I think that they can answer that question.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I have a curiosity I have to ask. Why is staff recommending that this happen only 3 days per week?
Because that's the operational plan that the applicant submitted. They said that that was their intention, was to only operate 3 days per week. And since the goal of changing a non-conforming use is to always become closer to conforming, which in this case would be a lesser intense use, to kind of get it closer to that residential character, we recommended that they stay with that 3 days per week that they were proposing.
So it's relating to maintaining the residential character?
Yes, and limiting the impact of traffic and that sort of thing.
Okay, thank you.
Will there be more supply trucks coming in with this use than there were with the ice manufacturing?
Based on the information that the applicant submitted, and again, they can perhaps speak to what exact numbers of trucks that they will be seeing, it will be comparable or less to what was going with the ice. My understanding is that the ice manufacturer had much more frequent deliveries of the ice that was manufactured on site and going out than this use will, and with larger trucks.
You don't know the size of the particulars, like one delivery of supplement would be, because you don't know what it is yet. I mean, we don't know.
The applicant can probably touch on that. My understanding is that it's likely your sort of typical delivery trucks, like a UPS type truck, and rather than a large.
I just wonder if we're talking about like pills, or we're talking about large things they eat and.
Right. My understanding was
Feed.
that it was more along the lines of a smaller object, but I don't have information beyond what's in the staff report. So that's a great question for the applicant.
Any other questions? Sandy, we'll let you sit and let the applicant come up. I believe we have some questions for you. If you could give us your name and address for the record, please.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Peter Richmawi. My address is 205 Ashby Circle in Versailles, Kentucky.
Thank you. We have a couple of questions from one of our board members. If you want to go into an explanation of basically what it is you're packaging and number of deliveries and such.
Sure. I actually have a video if you want to see our largest package of what we package.
Sure.
Sure. And so we basically package.
When you speak, go over to the
I'm so sorry.
microphone. Thank you.
This is my first time.
That's all right.
I'm kind of nervous. So we basically package grains and dried nuts for horses, and also pets as well, dogs, but it's very small, mostly for health benefits. Nothing like hay or anything large, bulky
What are
material.
the dimensions of your average package?
Our largest bag is 25 kilograms, which is about 50 pounds. And I have a video of,
I don't need to see the video
Oh, okay,
necessarily, but
yes.
what is in this? What is it?
Mostly grains and dry nuts.
Okay.
And dried fruit.
Nothing that would be hazardous to
No, ma'am, it's
humans or-
exactly completely organic, And that's basically the motto of the company is everything's organic and healthy for animals. So we've been operating in Frankfurt for about 2 years, and we want to stay in Frankfurt. And we have this opportunity to purchase this small warehouse so that we can continue our growth in Frankfurt as well.
Could you address deliveries? You know, are we talking semi-trucks to get your product there, or?
So most of our deliveries are, I think we have one delivery every 1 or 3 months, which is a pallet, which is in a small semi-truck. And most of our deliveries are just UPS-based, small boxes that a normal UPS truck goes out and delivers for us. And whenever we do any local deliveries, we do it in our own truck. We have a Ram, a light vehicle truck.
There were 4 recommended conditions in the staff report. Have you had the opportunity to read those? And if you have, do you agree to those?
To tell you the truth, we were asked very, about the conditions.
Let's see, horse supplement packaging distribution facilities shall operate no more than 3 days per week. The use shall be limited to 1 employee on the premises. A business license shall be obtained through county occupational tax office. And any waste products related to the horse supplement shall be picked up and disposed of off-site through a solid waste service and shall not be discharged into drains leading to the sanitary system.
Yeah, we don't discharge anything because everything's just, basically, we receive it in bulk and we just repackage it. That's basically the business that we have.
You're in agreement with all of those?
Yeah, we do have 2 part-time persons working, but one of them works at a different location and just delivers to the site. And the other one is part-time, and he's usually at the warehouse when we need him. Because everything, we package everything, he doesn't really need to be there. It's a pretty efficient operation. We have basically a mixing machine and a sealing machine, that's it. And they're both electric and small motors.
And it does say 1 on the premises, it doesn't specify
Correct.
how many employees.
Okay. Yes.
Sounds like you've got
Yes.
each other.
All right. Sounds like you're in agreement with those. Okay. Any further questions of our applicant? Okay, we'll let you sit down at this time. If there's
Thank you so
anyone in the
much.
audience who would like to speak on behalf of this or against? No. Don't see anyone. All right. Seems pretty straightforward. Good use of the property, less non-conforming, that's what we want to go for. Someone would like to make a motion?
I'll do it.
All right, we'll let you.
In accordance with sections 155.232 and 155.085 of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances, we recommend approval of Mr. Rich Magwi's request to appeal a change from 1 non-conforming use, ice manufacture and distribution, to another, horse supplement packaging and distribution at 814 Clifton Drive. The property is more specifically described as property valuation administrator map ID 048-2005-005.01, single-family residential suburban density district RV. Based on staff recommendations for approval and with the following conditions. The horse supplement packaging and distribution facility shall operate no more than 3 days per week. The use shall be limited to 1 employee on the premises at a time. A business license shall be obtained through the county occupational tax office. Any waste products related to the horse supplements shall be picked up and disposed of off-site through a solid waste service and shall not be discharged into the drains leading to the sanitary sewer system.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second for Mr. King. You call the roll, please.
Ms. Skidmore?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Holder?
Yes.
Mr. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Ms. Townsley?
Yes.
Motion carries.
You have your approval. Good luck. Thank you.
In accordance with sections 155.050 and 155.048 of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances, Mark and Amy Keedle request one, an administrative appeal contesting the planning department's interpretation that they cannot request a conditional use permit for a short-term rental proposed to be located in an unpermitted accessory dwelling unit. And two, should the board rule in the applicant's favor, they request a conditional use permit to operate a short-term rental on the property located at 1564 Old Lawrenceburg Road. The property is more specifically described as PVA map number 064-00000002.02.
Good afternoon. This staff report addresses item number 1 that was just read through, and then if you do act in the applicant's favor, we have a supplemental staff report that we can present or potentially table to next month. So the first item is the administrative appeal contesting the planning department's interpretation. So how we got here, the applicant submitted an application for a conditional use for a short-term rental back in September for their property at 1564 Old Lawrenceburg Road. As we started to review that application, we discovered that while there was a house on the property, that was not what they were asking for the short-term rental for. They were asking to utilize a 900 square foot apartment unit within a pole barn as the short-term rental. In the RR zone, that's our single-family rural residential zone, you can only have one dwelling unit per lot. We do not currently allow for accessory dwelling units. So the applicant is seeking administrative relief through this administrative appeal to contest our interpretation. The subject property is located on Old Lawrenceburg Road, southwest of the intersection of Old Lawrenceburg Road and Nineveh. It's a 10-acre lot containing a 2-story single-family dwelling and then that pole barn with the apartment unit. Because the property is just over 10 acres, it qualifies for a farmstead exemption to the building code. So that allows for construction without your typical building permit review and building inspections. However, zoning regulations still apply. So whenever an applicant is seeking that farmstead exemption, they fill out a form with our office that includes a site plan and asks them to say what they're building and to show us their setbacks, basically, so that we can verify that it's in the right spot to meet the zoning code. So that farmstead application was approved for a pole barn. So we were unaware that there was going to be an apartment unit in the building. So based on that, again, one dwelling unit is permitted on the lot, and an accessory dwelling unit, had we known about it, would not have been permitted. So when the applicant came to us requesting a short-term rental, we told them that we could not process that because it was an illegal unit, an unpermitted unit. We did provide them with several options for moving forward, including, this path that they have taken to come to you all and seek relief. Another option is to seek a rezoning to an agricultural district. This doesn't really solve their problem, though, because while in an ag district, you can have more than one dwelling unit, but you can only have more than one dwelling if it is for a family member or for someone who is engaged in farm work on your active farm. So they would not be able to utilize it as a short-term rental in that case. The comprehensive plan also recognizes this particular property as rural residential on the future land use map, so that zone change in and of itself might be challenging to get through. The second option that we provided for them was that the RR zone has a minimum lot size of 1.5 acres. So again, they have 10 acres. So they do have the potential to subdivide the property into 2 lots. They do have enough room to meet the frontage requirements and setbacks and things like that in order to have 2 separate lots, each with its own dwelling unit. The applicant has indicated that this option is not good for them because the 10-acre lot, in addition to that farmstead exemption, also comes with tax benefits. So staff can't take tax benefits into account when we're interpreting our zoning ordinance or making any kind of decision, but we respect that that's where the applicant's coming from. So we feel that the zoning requirements for the RR zone are clear, that they only allow for 1 single-family dwelling per lot. We highlight the purpose statement for the RR district, which reads that the district is intended to establish and preserve a quiet, single-family neighborhood free from other uses except those which are convenient to and compatible with the residences of such neighborhood. The district is intended to be of very low density and will be customarily located in areas where public sewer facilities are not available or planned. We also highlight the definition of short-term rental, which states that a short-term rental is a residential dwelling unit that is not owner-occupied and is rented, leased, or otherwise assigned for a tenancy of less than 30 consecutive days duration for transient guests. So again, since you have to have a dwelling unit in order to have a short-term rental, our interpretation has historically been that you cannot have that additional dwelling unit, therefore you cannot have that short-term rental. We also note in our staff report that staff is generally in favor of policy changes that would allow for accessory dwelling units throughout our county. However, those policy changes have to go through the process. We are working with a consultant now to update our zoning code, and we are looking at accessory dwelling units. However, allowing one now would be a circumvention of that legislative process. So today, the decision that's before you is to determine whether or not staff has acted in error in our interpretation. Should the board rule in favor of the applicant, they would be able to move forward with the second part of the application to apply for the conditional use permit for the short-term rental. Should the board rule in favor of the planning department in our interpretation, the applicant could pursue one of those other options that we outlined. If they don't want to do that, they could remove the components of that 900 square foot space that make it a dwelling unit. If you remove the kitchen and the bathroom facilities, you don't really have something that functions as a dwelling unit anymore, and you don't have that issue with the illegal and permitted unit. They still wouldn't be able to use it as a short-term rental, but that would solve their zoning issue. So since this is an appeal of our interpretation, we're not making a recommendation to you all. That doesn't seem fair. So we have provided suggested motions and findings for both directions. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
I think your staff report goes into everything really well. I'm especially, interested in, on page number 3, talking about a precedent this was set. Because if this is allowed, then we're getting into, this could kind of go any place, and why have planning and zoning, et cetera.
Yep.
I think it's something that the board should keep in mind, but I think you've done a really good job of laying out and giving them options too. That's more of an opinion, I guess. Just don't have any questions beyond that. All right, does anyone have any questions? Okay. If you don't have any questions, we'll let you sit down. We'll let the applicant come up, if you would, please. Give us your name and address, please, for the record, and we'll let you state your case.
Perfect. I'm glad everybody left because I had to borrow my wife's pink glasses. So.
Look good on you.
Yeah, they don't look real good on me, but it's the only way I can read. So, my name is Mark Cadle, and this is my wife, Amy Cadle, and we were the owners of the property at 1564 Old Lawrenceburg Road. We appreciate the opportunity to ask about the conditional use permit. She did do a great job in her words there, but I have a few things that I'd like to bring up as well. We are the owners of the property, and we appreciate the opportunity for this permit. It is an existing dwelling on our property. We fully understand and respect the purpose and intent of the rural residential zoning district that was established way back in 1983. So it's very outdated, as you can see, specifically to preserve the quiet, low density and rural character of the community. Our request does not increase density, and it does not change the character of our area. It simply allows the responsible use of an already existing barn and dwelling and keeps us from subdividing our 10.2 acres and losing our farm exemption. As for the management of and protections of the property, we've put in some stipulations that we will not allow parties or events, no pets, no smoking, very strict noise, parking, and occupancy standards, strict guest screening, be closely monitored as we are on-site owners as opposed to out-of-town owners like many other short-term rentals that are in Frankfort. I also have support letters from both of the neighbors that could possibly be affected. However, we feel they would never know a guest is there the way the land and the barn and the structure is. For board consideration, we understand this type of permit may be uncommon in a rural residential zone. However, we respect and ask the board to consider this request based on its individual merits, the existing infrastructure, and our commitment to a responsible management. we are willing to comply with reasonable conditions as well. Now, before I go into the next area, we found an error in their process, and please keep in mind, we're just looking for your help for approval, just so we don't have to subdivide. But, the one question before you is whether the planning department acted in any error. We respectfully submit that based on the record and the department's own process, an error did occur, not in any intent, but in administration and interpretation as applied to our application. In early September, which she stated, we did submit and complete a completed application seeking a conditional use permit for a short-term rental. The application clearly identified the structure and the nature of the proposed use. For approximately 2 months, no objection, no deficiency notice, or interpretation issue was communicated to us until November 4th, when she submitted an email. It could have possibly been November 3rd when we spoke. I believe it was still November the 4th. During this time, the application was accepted, fees were paid, the application was under active review, no indication was given that the request was not attainable. Multiple conversations with multiple staff members were had concerning the form provided for the short-term rental with a checklist of the firearms, the fire extinguishers, et cetera. This shows you that the planning and zoning knew it was new construction, and they were instructing me of what needs to be done for actual approval. It was only after this extended period of silence that we were informed after the fact that the staff believed this request could not even be considered. In that 2 months, we decided to upgrade many things. I've spent tons of money. That's why I'm asking for your help. We're in a huge bind financially because of this. Reliance on the administration process. As a property owner, we must be able to reasonably rely on the county's review process. When an application is accepted and allowed to proceed for months without objection, it creates a reasonable expectation that the request is eligible for consideration, even if approval is not guaranteed. Had staff informed us that the outset of the request was interpreted as legally impossible, we would have immediately addressed the issue and pursued an alternative path. Again, if 2 months went by. The zoning ordinance states that only one dwelling unit is permitted per lot in the rural residential district. It does not explicitly state that the board is barred from considering a conditional use request involving existing secondary structure under unique circumstances, nor does it prohibit temporary owner-managed use where no increase in density occurs. The department's interpretation goes beyond enforcement and into preemptive denial of board consideration, which we respectfully submit exceeds its administrative role. The appeal is not about avoiding compliance or creating a loophole. It is about ensuring fair notice, consistent application process, the opportunity to be heard on all the merits. The remedy we seek is to allow the conditional use request to be evaluated with minor conditions of approval. In closing, on a more personal note, I'd like to provide some brief personal context to this request. The second dwelling on our property was originally constructed as an in-law suite with the long-term intention of accommodating our parents when the need arises. Fortunately, that need is still several years away. During this interim period, as Amy retires from her Franklin County Public School position as a reading writing specialist, we are seeking to responsibly utilize the dwelling as a true bed and breakfast style short-term rental. We, as the property owners, would remain on site for all rental use. Although it is a separate structure, the dwelling is very much an extension of our home. It shares utilities with the primary residence, and the yard and outdoor space are common areas. While subdivision of the property is technically an option, we believe it would create unnecessary expense and hardship without advancing a meaningful zoning or public interest purpose. We have made substantial investment in construction and allowing it to operate as a short-term rental would help offset a portion of that cost while ensuring the property remains well-maintained and fully utilized. I'd like to thank you for your time and your service to the county, and happy to answer any questions you have.
I have a quick question. I'm a little confused about the construction, because the picture in the report looks like your main residence were these constructed at the same time, or was your residence already there?
So the residence was there in 2019, we built right before
Okay.
COVID.
All right. And then the barn?
Last year, we built the barn as a pole barn
Right.
originally, and that was our thought, was just to keep it as a pole barn. It was a 30 by 50 barn, and we decided to build out the interior of a portion of it.
And so, in the staff report, I think it goes into, because you've got the homestead exemption, you're kind of exempt from a certain amount of inspections and such.
Correct.
And so, you're saying that they should have been aware that,
They were aware.
they were aware that you were building a livable space in there with?
When we initially applied for the barn, to build a pole barn, they were not aware. We started building on that, and then I submitted in September after starting to build, because our thought was we were farm exempt, and I didn't need to, have approval for that.
What did you submit, an updated plan or something?
Submitted the request for the Airbnb,
Okay,
the conditional use permit request.
all right.
And at that point, they knew that it was in the barn, in the structure. And what I'm saying is 2 months went by without any indication.
That it was a
So
problem.
we assume, or didn't assume, but that if they're not telling us that it's not allowable after 2 months period for, where I'm spending, multiple dollars to get this complete. I know the other option is to break off the land. We've got 10.2 acres, like I said, and that's just the issue we don't really want to have to go through. So,
Mr. Chairman, I would address one thing. A delay of 2 months is, there is no case law that supports that as being the basis for taking action. Could have been a backlog, it could have been oversight, it could have been whatever. That's not a basis for you to make a determination. You have to do it on the other aspects he's saying. All right, sir?
Any other questions of the applicant? All right. We'll let you all sit down. If we have anybody else in the audience who wants to talk about this, I don't know. We'll let you sit down, we'll have discussion. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm Amy.
Go
I'm
ahead.
Amy Cadle, 1564 Old Lawrenceburg Road. Do you have pictures of the dwelling? Okay. So as you can see, this is just steps from our home. And to subdivide that would be, I don't know what value that would bring to the zoning and planning board, other than to say that it crosses the Ts and dots the Is. But I am retiring soon, and what I want to do is have a true bed and breakfast for the people who come to visit Franklin County. Bed and breakfasts look different, and today, you can't really trust people to come in your home because you might wake up and not be there anymore. So to have it somewhere else for them to sleep, and then to have breakfast ready for them is what I would like to do in my retirement. And I hope that you guys see that this is just an extension of our home. It's connected. We already had it connected with electricity and sewage and water. And even though we are exempt, we have had approval with electricity and with septic. We've had those approvals. So I just wanted to let you know that.
May I ask a question? You submitted the application, and then you began the upgrade to the auxiliary dwelling unit?
Yes.
Before you had any approval? I mean, I understand that you didn't hear back from them one way or the other, but did they lead you to believe that you were going to be approved? I'm just wondering about, you're going on and spending the money before you've gotten.
I'll let him answer that
Okay.
because I was probably teaching that day.
Okay.
So could you repeat the question again?
The question is, you submitted an application, and I know you said you waited a couple of months, but during the time that you were waiting, it sounds like you went on ahead and started upgrading the property, but you hadn't gotten approval yet.
So it's reasonable to assume that if they did not deny it the day you submit the application, that is most likely going to be approved.
Well, except they hadn't had time to review it.
I'd be interested to know if they had a backlog or,
But my point is just, you went on and did the upgrades before you got any approval, right?
I was still trying to complete it, yes.
Okay,
Correct,
thank you.
yes.
We can enter into discussion, or someone could make a motion, or what have you.
I don't know of any exceptions for detrimental, a claim of detrimental reliance.
I don't know that starting a project without a permit, you can rely upon that.
Exactly. So I don't think any of that's relevant that they spent money. I mean, that's just on them.
Were you gonna say something, Martin?
I was just gonna say that, the staff bringing up the point about the interpretation, that interpretation would effectively create a loophole. I don't wanna be in the business of creating loopholes, but she also says, city and county staff are working with a consultant to develop more modern standards, and the staff hopes the updated codes will be adopted by the summer of 2026. Well, it's almost 2026, so it sounds like you guys are in a pickle financially, but it doesn't sound like you're gonna have to wait too much longer for the codes to possibly change.
I'd be curious to know more about that now. Just if that's going to be an option for us early summer, or if that's going to happen, so we don't have to go ahead and divide our property, if that's your
I
rule.
think probably the process here is we'll make a ruling, and then based on that ruling for or against, then you can talk with staff about what your options are. But I think what Ms. Townsley's saying is, if we rule against you, looks like you've got an option that you're wanting. It may be a little more time, but you're not like gonna have to tear it down and be without that, what you're trying to do, the money, et cetera. So I think we have to make a determination first, and I think there are some options, because I don't think anybody wants to hurt anybody financially. We have to follow what we've got as far as regulations, et cetera, et cetera. So, I think probably the thing to do is to let us make our ruling, and then from there, you can speak with staff about what to go forward, et cetera. All right. Well, just for a brief discussion, I think everything's been covered really well in the staff report, and we've had some good testimony from the applicants. But I feel like it's pretty cut and dried as far as, an unintended consequence of moving ahead and not really having the approval. And because of this kind of a precedent that this can set at this time with our zoning regulations, I think, at least for me, I'm going to vote to uphold what the staff has done.
I think for board's purposes, I think it's important that we put in the record that upon consideration of legal counsel's, what they have shared with us tonight on this case also.
Okay. Well, would someone like to make a motion? Or I can, I don't.
Go ahead.
Let
Go
Mark
for it, Mitch.
Turn off her alarm.
Sorry.
It's all right. All
Meeting's
right.
ready.
In response to the request for an administrative appeal of Mark and Amy Keetle, 1564 Old Larsford Road, Frankfort, Kentucky, I move that Mark and Amy Keetle's request for the administrative appeal contesting the planning department's interpretation that they cannot request a conditional use permit for a short-term rental proposed to be located in an unpermitted accessory dwelling unit on the basis that the planning department did not act in error, and the department's interpretation that the appellant cannot request a conditional use permit for a short-term rental proposed to be located in an unpermitted accessory dwelling is correct, based upon the testimony we've heard from both the staff and from the applicant. So I've got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. If you call the roll, please.
Ms. Skidmore?
Yes.
Mr. Holder?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Ms. Townsley?
I'm sorry, we had to rule not in favor of you all, but I think there's an opportunity for things to work out, hopefully sooner than later, with the update to the regulations that hopefully will be done pretty quick. Because, yeah, anyway, thank you all for your patience, and wish you good luck.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And I think with that, do we have one more?
Yeah.
Two more?
There are two more.
Well, okay. If you would call the next item on the agenda.
In accordance with sections 155.048, 155.085, 155.089, and 155.105 of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances, Nathan Daly is requesting approval of a conditional use permit to allow the operation of a short-term rental at 259 Big Eddy Road. The property is more specifically described as PVA map number 076-1001-003.00 in a rural residential zone district.
Yes, the subject property is located on Big Eddy Beach Road, private road, 1101. The lot is approximately 0.65 acres in size and contains a 1,368 square foot single-family dwelling with 2 bedrooms. Adjoining property zoning is a single-family rural residential district and single-family residences. Okay. So according to our GIS data and the FEMA MSC, the subject property is located in a special flood hazard area, Zone AE. The AE zone is defined as the high-risk special flood hazard area inundated by the 1% annual chance flood, also known as the 100-year flood. The structure was flooded during the April 2025 flood disaster. However, on October 28th, 2025, a stream construction permit was granted for flood repairs. The subject property is large enough to accommodate the proposed use, and parking is available on the property with a 1,768 square feet parking pad, which will accommodate 8 vehicles in total. Because Big Eddy Beach Road is a narrow private road, staff recommends that on-street parking be prohibited for the short-term rental use. There are 2 existing short-term rental facilities within walking distance from the subject parcel at 0.1 and 0.4 miles respectively. Staff does have concerns that a concentration of short-term rentals may be forming in this neighborhood. However, given that the area is heavily impacted by the special flood hazard area, use of the properties for a more transient use may be appropriate, as it allows for the continued use of these dwellings while reducing the number of permanent residents who could be impacted or displaced by the flooding. Additionally, staff acknowledges that close proximity to the river may be desirable for short-term rental guests engaging in outdoor recreation activities. Because guests may not be familiar with the local hazards related to the flooding, staff does recommend that additional conditions related to flood hazards be adopted. Staff does have all positive findings, and with 2 additional findings in addition to the findings contained in the staff report, staff also finds that the proposed conditional use will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity nor cause a hazard or a nuisance to the public. The 2-bedroom dwelling is large enough to accommodate the allowable number of users of 8, and adequate parking is available. All necessary public services and facilities are or will be available. Number 2, the proposed conditional use should not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, provided that the applicant properly notifies guests of the property's location with the special flood hazard area and posts an emergency evacuation plan and route in case of flood, as specified in the staff's recommendations, recommended conditions, Staff does recommend approval of the applicant's request for a conditional use permit.
to allow short-term rental at the property located at 259 Big Eddy Road with conditions. And I'm open to any questions that you may have at this time.
Where's the applicant? Are you the applicant?
I did talk with him earlier today. He cannot make it. He said that he would send his business partner. I told him, I mean, it's not mandatory that they be here, but it's highly recommended that they come, and it's up to the applicant to come in case you all have questions. So I did let him know this today, so, yeah.
Do you know if the applicant is in agreement with the conditions on the report? Okay.
Yes.
He should be here to
He's-
tell us that he's in agreement with the conditions.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't force people to come,
Yeah.
though,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
But you shared the conditions.
I did share, yes.
I will
The-
say
the
this,
staff
I know
report,
Nathan
yes.
Daly, and I've worked with him many times, and he's a Realtor, and I
Mhm.
think he understands how things are supposed to work. I don't, because if he doesn't, and since speaking in favor, I think he's gonna.
Agree to them
he's-
for
I'm not
him.
him, we're just acquaintances, but I think he understands he has to abide by this.
Well,
I don't know that we wanna,
I don't think
I wouldn't be in
that's good
favor of
enough,
pushing it off the
frankly.
agenda just because they couldn't make it. But I'm just one vote, so,
Yeah.
just speaking my piece.
Counselor?
Yes, ma'am?
What do you-
No, the applicant does not have to be here.
That was my question.
I do agree that it sure would be nice to, if we have any questions, to address them. But Mr. Daly obviously relied on somebody else who didn't make it. And I'm sympathetic about that too.
I will say this, if you're uncomfortable enough that you think we should table this item, I'm not opposed to that if there's a motion and it's approved.
Table it for-
I
Whatever.
would table it. I'd like to know why there's such a proliferation of these right there. Probably because it's a flood area.
A lot of these flooded homes, shouldn't say a lot, but I'm finding that more and more are selling their flooded homes because they're selling for very cheap. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's
And
no,
it's a great area.
And it's a great area,
Yeah.
yes.
Well,
It's
and-
right by the river and.
And I
there's-
understand that you found that it won't change the character, but when you have 3 Airbnbs right in a row, or short-term rentals, it seems to me that's gonna change the character. But
I think that's already occurred.
Yeah, I mean,
The
to me
precedent
personally,
has
I think
already been
a
set.
short-term rental is better than this thing being demolished just
Exactly.
because somebody,
well,
took a
that's
FEMA
good
buyout.
point.
I totally agree.
And can I just make a quick point too? That this disaster really changed the character
Yes.
of Big Eddy and Travis Circle because a lot of these, I shouldn't say a lot, but there are some homes through there that are going to be in that buyout process. So the character, to me, is changing more so than what it was
Yeah.
before the flood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because a lot of people chose not to
Exactly.
come back.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna add to that, I have an acquaintance who, they own property there. Because of the flooding, they have moved, but they actually have 2 properties. So they're turning one of their properties into a short-term rental. They're not gonna, live down there anymore because they don't want to deal with it again. But it seems like it's more of a transient, like you said, a transient area neighborhood. Because over the years, so many people that have lived there have gotten flooded out. But I think you're correct, the neighborhood has changed.
It's going to keep changing
Yeah.
too, because there's going to be probably some demolitions through that buyout process, and that will never be built again there. So that's an in perpetuity thing. So the neighborhood is changing. Yeah.
Because we approved one in February that was a complete loss that probably won't be built back, that it will be demolished. It was- so,
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
I would respond to Iris's comment about it would be great if he were here to agree, that he agrees to all these conditions. On the other hand, of course, if we table it, are we saying that you have to be here? Are we sort of overriding the procedure?
The discussion came up last time, even though that somebody needs to have some power of attorney to come and accept these for someone.
I'm voting no, but, I'm just one vote. I
Right.
think he should be here to accept the conditions.
Okay.
He should be here and make himself available to questions.
I agree, but if we put conditions on, he's bound by whether he's here or not.
That's true.
All right, good point.
And if staff is telling us that they have shared the conditions, then we've done our due part. Staff is saying that they agreed to the conditions.
Yeah, and I'd like to point out, we have in the past approved applicants or applications when the applicant was not present.
We have. I think here's my take on this. If someone wants to make a motion to table, do that, see if we get it passed. If not, we can vote up or down. Sound fair? Sounds like. So I guess if you would like to make a motion to table, and I understand where you're coming
No,
from.
I'm not going to make a motion to table it, but I will not vote for it unless I hear from the applicant.
That's fine.
So
Yeah, that's fine.
that will be my vote, but you all can vote for it if you want
Okay,
to.
all right. And you make a good point. One thing too, we may, if as a board, we want the staff to tell people they need to be here, can we make that
We
request?
can make a requirement that everyone has to appear, or we remove them from the agenda.
I think that would be appropriate.
Oh, yeah.
Typically, when we send out our staff reports, we do say you or someone representing you should attend the meeting. We can strengthen that language to say someone must attend that meeting.
That would be,
I think it's,
Because, you know, if you keep, sometimes there's no problem at all and they can do it, but if we're gonna say, we're gonna be wishy-washy about it, I
Yes.
think we either say you be here, or we have to live with what we've done in the past, which is.
well, if you all don't mind, on behalf of the board, looks like we have, everybody's in agreement. If you could make that a requirement moving forward, that way, if there's questions or what have you, we can have an applicant answer. I think that's
And I think
reasonable.
when we notify them, we say the board will not hear a case unless you or an authorized representative with appropriate designation. In other words, I just don't want somebody to walk in and go, well, I'm a realtor and I
Yeah.
will do this. I
And
think
we've
we
had
need
that a
On that
lot.
note, we
Yeah.
did develop a form after our conversation
Yeah.
last month.
And I think that, you know, that's
Seems
a little
reasonable.
like.
Okay. Well, that being said, you don't want to make a motion to table or anything?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, why don't we, I think we're done with discussion, unless we have anyone else want to speak on it? Not hearing any. Would someone like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll go ahead and do that. I move that we approve the applicant's request. It's in accordance with sections 155.048, 155.085, 155.089, and 155.105 of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances, 259 Big Eddy Road, LLC, to move for approval of conditional use permit to allow operation of a short-term rental at the same address, 259 Big Eddy Road. Property more specifically described as PVA map ID number 0761001-003.00 zone RR, and with all positive findings in the staff report. And let's see, I don't believe she read the conditions, so I probably better read those. That's number one. The conditional use only permitted at 259 Big Eddy Road. Number two, conditional use is granted only to 259 Big Eddy Road LLC to allow use of the property for short-term rental. The conditional use is not transferable, and any change in ownership will make this approval null and void. The short-term rental is registered with the county annually, and a business license obtained. A safety inspection of the premise shall be performed before the issuance of the conditional use permit and commencing of operations. Number six, there should be no on-street parking permitted. Number seven, the residents must have working smoke alarms that are not more than 10 years old from date of manufacture. Number eight, the residents must have working carbon monoxide alarms that are no more than 10 years old from date of manufacture if the residence has gas utilities of any kind. Occupancy of the short-term rental shall be limited to no more than 8. If operations cease, then notice shall be provided to County Planning and Building Codes Office for their records. The applicant shall post the following statement on the premises, as well as disclose in all advertisements, rental listings. Quote, this property is located within the special flood hazard area, which has a 1% annual chance of being inundated by floodwaters, end of quote. The applicant shall provide and post an emergency evacuation plan and route in case of flood. All conditions of 155.089 noted special conditions 27 short-term rentals shall be satisfied. And finally, if a conditional use permit has not been exercised within 1 year of the board's action, it shall be null and void. End of motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All right. Would you call a roll?
Ms. Skidmore?
No.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Holder?
Yes.
Mr. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
And Ms. Townsley?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Things a good discussion. Let you go ahead and call the next item, last item.
In accordance with sections 155.048, 155.105, and 155.111, and as well as 155.136 of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances, Kaylin Vaughn is requesting approval of a conditional use permit to allow the operation of a major home occupation, home-based bakery at 112 Hogan Drive. The property is more specifically described as PVA map number 095-000033.03.
Please.
Yes, so in our zoning ordinance, any home occupation where customers are coming to the home is treated as a major home occupation and requires an approval of a conditional use permit. Home bakers who bake products in their home, deliver or sell off-site are not required to obtain a conditional use permit. So the applicant is here tonight because she does want customers to come to her home for the goods and to pick them up. Yes. So she's wanting to set up a front porch farm stand to sell her baked goods. She states that the stand is 74 inches tall and 38 inches wide and will be rolled into her garage when not in use. She plans to operate only on Saturdays and Sundays between the hours of 9 a.m. until dusk. The property is located on Hogan Drive, a county-maintained road, 1169. Access to Hogan Drive is via Leestown Road. There shall be no on-street parking. The driveway is 30 feet in length, and the park pad is 576 square feet, which could potentially accommodate 3 to 4 vehicles at one time. In addition, there is an attached 2-car garage at 418 square feet. Staff expects business type to be an in and out quick turnaround and expects no issues. The neighborhood is dense and walkable with the potential of serving the neighbors. Staff did find all positive findings. Also, the applicant has stated that the home occupation will be conducted in her kitchen, which is 84 square feet. The applicant has stated that the home occupation is a proposed farm stand, which would be located on her front porch. Parking facilities required are provided, and customers will be able to utilize the existing driveway and/or street parking. Additionally, it is expected that some customers will be residents of the neighborhood and which would visit on foot. So there are 2 additional findings in addition to the findings in the staff report. Staff also does find that the proposed conditional use will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, nor cause a hazard or nuisance to the public. The proposed use will have a minimal impact on traffic, and the residential character of the property will not be modified to allow for the use. And 2, all necessary public services and facilities are available and adequate for the proposed use, provided that all conditions have been met. Staff does recommend approval of the conditional use request to allow, that says gunsmithing, I want to scratch that out, I'm sorry. oops, a major home occupation of the property at 112 Hogan Drive with the following conditions, and I will say Barry today. Number one, that a business license is required from the county. Number two, the conditional use is only permitted at 112 Hogan Drive. Number three, the conditional use is granted only to Kalen Vaughn to allow the use of the property for a home-based bakery with customers coming to the property. Number four, the conditional use is not transferable, and any change in ownership or use will make this approval null and void. That the business will operate in compliance with all regulations that may apply from any other regulatory agency that may apply. The business shall have no non-resident employees. Number seven, that the home occupation shall operate in compliance with all requirements listed above in subsection 155.111 home occupations contained within the Franklin County zoning ordinance. Otherwise, this permit shall be null and void. Number eight, according to the Franklin County Fire Department, that the applicant shall have a minimum of 1 6-liter Class K fire extinguisher rated for grease fires on site and easily accessible. Number nine, according to the Franklin County Fire Department, the residents must have working carbon monoxide alarms that are less than 10 years old if the residence is serviced by any natural gas or propane utilities, and working smoke alarms that are less than 10 years old. Number 10, deliveries associated with the home occupation shall not be made using tractor trailers. No more than 2 commercial deliveries such as UPS, Federal Express, U.S. Postal Service Express Mail, and etc. shall be made in any 24-hour period. Number 11, there shall only be 2 customers allowed on the premises at one time. Number 12, the sales cart shall not be placed within any right-of-way or be left outside when not in use. Number 13, the applicant shall abide by the Franklin County Sewer Department regulations for a grease trap or variance. The applicant shall contact FSD for details. Number 14, there shall be no on-street parking. I'm open for any questions you may have at this time. Thank you.
Any questions?
I have some.
Go for it. You're allowed.
I hate to ask all the questions.
All right.
I don't understand this, the porch sales concept, because it sounds to me like that's almost like a yard sale on every Saturday and Sunday where you're going to have stuff out. And how do you keep people from parking along the street who want to stop and buy something like they do at every other yard sale in the county on Saturdays and Sundays? They park on the street and go up, and so I don't see how you're going to limit it to 2 persons. I don't see how you're going to keep the cars off the street. And is this the only time there's going to be customers there? Or are they going to come when there's not that little cart out there? Will they come in the house to buy the stuff?
So I think that, I think the last question is definitely an applicant question. As far as, I mean, it's a hypothetical, you know, in a way. I can't really comment because it's kind of hypothetical.
Like most
You
of
know?
our compliance issues, it would be complaint driven. If
Yeah.
neighbors were seeing that there were cars parking in the street and it was creating a problem, they would call our office and we would get with the applicant and see what we could do. She did, as she is, you know, doing her advertising, perhaps she can say, you're not allowed to park on the street, park in my driveway. We would work with her in that regard. Again, if there are more than 2 people on premises, if there were complaints, we would do something about that. But you're right, we can't be there 24/7 to make sure that.
Yeah.
I can add to that. I'm familiar with that neighborhood. It's like a lot of these neighborhoods, the houses are pretty close together. There's really not much availability on on-street parking. And so I think if they can't find a place to park on the street, they're gonna naturally come into the driveway. Not always, but it's the easiest way to get out of the flow of traffic, because they're really tight in there, from what I recall. I used to work over there a lot, if that helps. Yeah, it's gonna be complaint driven, like you said. Yeah, but that's and when I was working over there, I would have to go into a driveway, I had no place to park.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just thinking about approving something that, with conditions that aren't really very realistic and causing problems in the neighborhood, that we don't need to do.
I mean, you have
Ridiculous.
every authority to say you can't have this cart, that they have to knock on your door. I mean, that's within your jurisdiction, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Seems to me like that's just like a yard sale or a garage sale, but it's all the time. And we can hear from the applicant about it.
Yeah, why don't we let you sit down and let the applicant come up, if you would, please, and answer us a few questions. If you'd give us your name and address for the record, please.
It's Kaylin Vaughn, 112 Hogan Drive.
We'll let you go ahead and ask her a few.
Do you mind to answer, or ask it again? I'm sorry.
Well, I was questioning the cart on the front porch. Is that gonna be like every weekend?
I plan to do just Saturdays and Sundays, but of course, like if I have a family emergency and it's not out, I would obviously let my guests know. But typically, it's an old china cabinet that I turned into, I guess, a farm stand. But it's just right there on my front porch in my driveway area. So customers would come on Saturdays and Sundays if I'm open, but there's not a lot of traffic. I know you said that you worked in that area or
very
something.
familiar with the
I live in the Duckers Villas one. There's not a house right next to me, so if customers do come up, they're only there for maybe 3 minutes. 3 to 5 minutes would be tops. And I did it for one weekend because I didn't know how to have all this. And I have a camera on there that points down at my stand so I can see how long that they're there for. They're not there very long, maybe 3 to 5 minutes tops.
I have a question for you. Are you gonna put any signage out on 421, or?
I haven't done it yet. It was just basically word of mouth on Facebook and other platforms. I had thought about it, but I didn't know if it was necessary. If it was, it wouldn't be any big, huge sign. It would be like a yard side sign.
I would think, just my opinion, if you start putting signs out in the right of way,
Right.
some people are
A
not
lot
gonna be
more
happy
people.
with that. It can be good for business, but
Yeah.
it's not really,
Right, I definitely
if
agree
you
with
wanna
that.
keep your neighbors happy.
Yes.
yeah. My opinion.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
Well, one of the conditions is that there shall be no on-street parking, correct?
I-
Right.
Right, I don't see how that's even I don't see how that's possibly reasonable if you've got a little market, little farm stand out on your front porch.
I have a staff question. Can we just take that off?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean,
It's not enforceable. I
Well,
mean, I don't see how it would be.
but then,
That's why
but
I'm
then,
bringing it up.
you know, I think it's probably maybe worse not having anything. I don't know.
I was out in the neighborhood while it was being built.
Oh, okay.
Been out there 100 times. People do park on the street. There's only so many spots, there's only so much space, so
Does it, my house is the third one in the neighborhood, and with there not being a house next to me, does that take any, there's nobody there. It's a big open lot.
yeah.
And with them only being there for 3 minutes, just to see what I have, get what they want and go, I don't see it personally being a huge, huge thing. I don't think I'm gonna have lots of people coming at my house.
I have a relative who has problems with people coming and going. It's a daycare situation, which was unpermitted. That's lots of people. I understand your concern, but I don't
Yeah.
think it's gonna be like a daycare.
Well, I'm not necessarily in favor of taking off the condition. I mean, I think that they put that on there in good faith for trying to keep this under control. I just don't think it can be,
Enforced.
it's not very realistic, but I guess it's better than not having anything, is what I would say, maybe.
Well, and one thing our applicant can do is put on your information page, please use the driveway, parking is tight,
Right.
for the neighbor's consideration.
Yeah.
And that's about all you could do to help try to eliminate that, seems like.
I think we leave it on there simply because, as we've indicated earlier, if it becomes a problem, neighbors are gonna then complain, and we're gonna have something to enforce.
Yeah.
If if we take it off, neighbors will complain and we're gonna say, I'm sorry.
Okay.
You know, they get to do that.
Well, we can't win either
I think-
way.
You're
I
right.
think we at least have something there
Yeah.
that's enforceable.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. But you can still preempt that, you could put that on your
Oh,
party
yeah, I probably would
information,
anyways.
showing up, please park in the drop-in area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other concerns or questions?
Well, and I'd like to point out, like, we've seen from, other applications tonight, there were quite a few, in opposition and for, that particular item on the agenda, but of course, for this, this lady, there's no one here in opposition or for it, so.
I did have a
you
couple
know,
people
it's-
say that they called. I guess you guys, I don't know, they called up there and said that they were
Yeah.
fine with it. And but, I mean, if you guys need to reach out to them, that's fine too.
Well, I think at this time, we'll go ahead and, unless we have any other questions, we'll go ahead and do a motion or discussion. We'll let you sit down.
Okay, thank you.
If there's any more questions. Would anyone like to make a motion, or do we want any more discussion? or-
Did we get that she was in agreement here on this? I couldn't remember. Did she indicate she was in agreement?
Did she agree, Charles?
Did she agree with the conditions?
Not
Oh,
formally.
could you mind
Yeah.
coming back up for us, please? I think Mr. Holder
Just
has a
one more
question for
legal
you.
point here. Cover all the bases.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, just want to make sure that you are in agreement with, there are 14 conditions that were placed on this application.
Yeah,
so-
the one that she read off. Mhm.
Yes,
The
yeah.
only thing I had concern, I guess, about was the grease trap. I'm not carrying like, there's not, I'm not a commercial residence, and I know that was one of their requirements. If it was a commercial property, it's considered the cottage
I
food
think
law,
it's
so-
covered in there with a variance. If you're not.
Okay.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, if there's a variance and you're not required to, and it doesn't sound like you're gonna be,
Okay.
that, the variance will cover you.
Oh, perfect.
Go ahead.
It's a requirement by the Frankfort Sewer Department.
Yeah.
Whenever we
Right.
receive a conditional use application, we send it out to our technical
Yeah.
review partners, and the sewer department requested that we include that condition.
Okay.
Once they talk to you about, the capacity of what you're doing, that will determine exactly what you need.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
what
then
you're-
that's fine.
Yeah, so
I was just like, I
we're
don't
not
want them
the
to
sewer
see it
department,
as-
So we can't really answer
Right.
that question specifically, but I did have a conversation with them, and they said that it would depend on kind of the capacity of what you were doing.
Right. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, okay. That works. Yep.
That protects everybody in the neighborhood and the
Yeah.
sewer system.
Absolutely,
As you
yeah.
can understand.
Yeah,
I think it'll work out for you.
I hope so.
All right, well, let's you sit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We've had a lot of good discussion. Would someone like to make a motion?
Sure, I can go ahead and do
Go
that.
ahead, go for it.
Yeah. Give me just 1 moment, please. Get back to the beginning here. Excuse the shuffling. So, kind of a thick one. All right, I move in accordance with sections 155.048 and 155.105, 155.111, and 155.136 of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances that we approve Kalen Bond's request for approval of a conditional use permit to allow operation of a major home occupation, home-based bakery at 112 Hogan Drive. And this property is more specifically described as PVA Administrator Map ID number 095000033.03, Zone PR. And that's with all positive findings in the staff report and with the, all of the conditions that were read by Ms. Peck and agreed upon by the applicant.
We have our motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Ms. Tinsley. We call it roll, please.
Ms. Skidmore?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Holder?
Yes.
Mr. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Ms. Townsley?
Yeah.
Carries.
All right, you have your approval. Good luck to you. I don't believe we have any other items on the agenda, but I would say that several of us were really disappointed when we couldn't go to our planning conference. And we would love you to reschedule that.
No doubt.
Well, now we know we're gonna buy baked goods.
That's right.
And the park in the driveway.
That's right.
Well, Need a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Happy holidays, everybody.